Welcome to my film review of Child's Play, otherwise maybe known as Chucky. Now this is a remake of a modern classic. If you're of roughly my age, maybe in your 30s, maybe a little bit older, then you may well have grown up with Child's Play 1, Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Chucky's Bride, you know, Freddy Krueger. These were the classic horror movies of the day. And to be perfectly honest, I think the horror movie industry has been struggling to try and find a good alternative ever since. These movies, especially when you watch them as a kid, which you typically do, you watch them way before you should, you know, they're scary and they live with you and they stay with you. These are the benchmark movies that you go searching for the rest of your life. I love horror movies. It's my favourite genre, but it's often the one that I always find wanting so much more. I love The Exorcist. I love The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That's probably the best modern horror movie that there's been. And you're always looking for that next thrill. And, you know, if you can't beat it, remake it, I guess, is the philosophy at the moment. Disney's doing it with a bunch of movies, and now we see it with Child's Play. So, I've set the scene there. Clearly, this was a movie I was hugely looking forward to seeing. And to be honest, it hasn't disappointed. I'll get straight to the point. It was decent. However, still not as good as I would have hoped it would be. So, there'll be two types of people that are going to watch this movie. First, I mean, you need to be a horror movie enthusiast, otherwise this probably isn't going to be your cup of tea, although it did seem to want to try to be a comedy. I'm not sure whether it was doing that deliberately or whether it was a safety net, as if to say, okay, well, if you don't find this scary, then you'll probably laugh at it. And if we make it look like it's supposed to be funny, then we can pretend all along that we were just trying to be funny and we weren't trying to be scary, and therefore we didn't fail, we achieved what we were trying to achieve. So there were a lot, particularly early on, I was thinking, oh man, is that what this is? It's almost like it was a Mickey take of the first Child's Play. We're not going to try and be scary, we're just going to try and be funny and laugh about the fact that a doll might go around killing people. You know, and it was disappointing. I was thinking, no way, this is not what I expected at all. However, it turned out to be okay in the end. So, as I was saying, there's two types of people that will be seeing this movie. Those that have seen the original Chucky movies and probably seen them when they were young and hopefully found them really scary and creepy, and therefore going into this movie with a lot of expectations, a lot to live up to. And then there'll be the people that have maybe just turned 15, or maybe you're 13, 14 and you're getting into the cinema young. I'm sure that's what we all used to do. You know, you'll be a youngster seeing this movie for the first time and you might never have seen the original Child Play. And I do wonder what those people might think of it. I did watch this in a full house. The cinema was packed and there was definitely giggling going on the way out. But I got the impression it was kind of, and a lot of young people were in there actually. A lot of young girls seemed to be together and probably couples and stuff. And there was definitely that giggly, it was scary, but let's laugh about it to maybe mask the fact that we was a little bit scared. I did get that impression, you know, because it was freaky, it was creepy. So yeah, I think for newbies that have never seen the Child's Play franchise, I think it probably works, and I think it's probably scary enough to make you think, yeah, that was good, that just about ticked a few boxes. And then people like myself that, you know, felt it had a lot to live up to. Now, if they'd have just completely remade it in the same fashion, then I don't think it could have been a success. But I would say it is a success because it was completely different to what I expected. I just had the original Child's Play in my head, thought, you know, it's going to be the same kind of movie, the same kind of crack, but just a modern version of it. Maybe the doll looks more realistic because it's made, 30 years after the original. CGI technology is better. So that was kind of what I was expecting, but actually, the modern twist and the modern take was very well done. So I'll summarise. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, because that's the whole nature of my reviews, is to give absolutely nothing away. But just know, this is to all you guys that have seen the original. This is nothing like the original. It goes off in a completely different direction, and it's very clever actually how they go about it. It's subtly different. It's not hugely different. At first you think, oh my god, this is so different. This isn't at all what I was expecting. But then it does draw some parallels as the movie progresses. We get straight into it about 10 minutes in, before it all starts to get going, and Chucky is introduced, etc. after about 10 minutes, so you're not left waiting. There's not too much nonsense build-up storyline or anything. But what they have done, and now that I think about it, it's obvious, and this is very clever and quite enjoyable, certainly from a modern take on a classic horror, is they've made it it's a smart doll, so it interacts with all of your smart appliances, you know. And that makes sense, doesn't it? If they were to make a doll nowadays, they probably would make it interact. So a little bit like Amazon Alexa, if you think about that, how you can control, you know, your lights, or Google Home, you can control all the electrical devices around your home using your voice. Well, they've very much carried that concept in this movie, and they've allowed the doll to be a part of that concept as well, which is clever. So that's really good, and that's a nice modern fresh take on the movie, which for that reason alone makes it a very watchable movie, just for the modern twist. And then how the Chucky element, the thing about Chucky is different from the original. So they, like I say, they haven't just blatantly copied the original. They've given it a very different take, a very different twist, a very different path, and it works. It works brilliantly, quite frankly. It kind of has a hint of Terminator about it almost. You've got artificial intelligence coming into the mix, which again, modern, fresh, new take. And it works. It works great. So, like I say, I'll leave it there with the summary. But just think of a more modern take on Chucky, not following the original path, the original script, letter for letter, but it does have enough of the original characteristics to make it as creepy, freaky, scary as the original horror. So I think if you like the original, there's no reason why you shouldn't like this. It's not terrifying, but then personally I struggle to find any horror that really is terrifying. So I would give this out of 10. It's going to get a decent score. It's probably going to get 7.7. Yeah, I think I give this a 7.7. It wasn't terrifying, but I enjoyed the modern twist, the modern take. At first I was a little bit worried, but then it went how you would kind of have expected to a degree it would have went, and it was satisfying enough. So yeah, a very decent 7.7 I'm going to give this one. So this is definitely a movie worth catching at the cinemas. Why wouldn't you? If you like your horror, this is a great date night movie. Take your partner. There's going to be a few little giggles, there's going to be plenty to talk about afterwards, and a few scares, you know, which makes for a great date night movie, doesn't it? So definitely get to the cinema to see this one. By all means, pay the full whack. Go on a weekend, Friday, Saturday night. It's worth paying the full sticker price. You know, you don't get that many horrors come along very often, so it's always worth going to see them if you're a horror movie fan. So yeah, definitely check this movie out. Get to it quick before Annabella comes out, because then that'll probably bump Chucky off the list. And yeah, look out for Chucky costumes next time you're at a Halloween party, because the ginger hair, the dungarees, you know, it's going to be back into pop culture for a while, I would expect. So yeah, can't really say much more about the movie. I enjoyed it. It wasn't what I expected, but it was a fresh, modern take on a classic horror. So tell me what you think. Did you enjoy it as much as me? What did you like about it? What didn't you? Thanks for listening. Let's look forward to Annabella Comes Home coming out, and we will see you on the next review. Goodbye.